Hey guys, Stay Patient here and welcome to another trophy related top 10. Now today we're going to be covering a subject that was requested of me, and it's been quite a difficult list to put together because we're not talking about the must-play PS4 games here. We're talking about the must-have Platinums, and how do you go about choosing those? Well, I've based the final 10 on my own personal experience with the game, so there are going to be some key titles missing, maybe ones that I haven't spent enough time with, but I'd love to hear your comments below as to which ones you would have included, and we can maybe put together a pinned comment featuring all the games that have been suggested by you guys. The 10 titles that I've gone with are all great games that I would recommend anyway, but they also have enjoyable trophy sets, and that's what this list is all about. Chasing the Platinums on these games doesn't ruin the experience, if anything it enhances it. I also think a lot of the games in this list are important when it comes to the PS4. They really represent what this generation of gaming, and specifically the PS4 itself, is all about, and with that in mind there are quite a few exclusives on this list. And finally, although this isn't a list of easy Platinums, I have steered clear of any very difficult or very long-winded ones. You see, the idea of this list is to recommend games that I think most trophy hunters will both enjoy and be able to manage. There are a couple of Platinums on this list that are kind of tricky, but that just adds to the satisfaction when you do finally earn them, and there are actually exploits available for the two hardest games on this list just in case you need sort of a safety net to fall back on as a last resort. I couldn't think of what order to put the games in, so I've put them in order of their release dates. So we're going to kick things off by heading all the way back to 2013 when the PS4 first launched. Resogun was not only the best exclusive to release alongside the PS4, but is widely considered the console's best launch title full stop, and believe it or not, it was free straight away on PlayStation Plus. The masters of pure exhilarating gameplay at Housemarque set out to remind us yet again that first and foremost video games are meant to be fun. It will always be an important milestone when looking back through the history of PlayStation, because in many ways it set the tone for Sony's newly increased emphasis on digital games and smaller development studios that's been prevalent throughout this generation. For that reason, along with the fact that its intense fast-paced action is so much fun, I feel like every PlayStation gamer should play Resogun, especially as any of you Day 1 adopters that are also PS Plus members will already have a copy in your library. When it comes to trophies, it's one of the slightly tougher games on this list, but it is still an enjoyable and perfectly reasonable Platinum to earn with some fun but cheap DLCs available too, complete with their own tricky but manageable trophies. The slight challenge the game presents you with just means it'll be among the satisfying Platinums you can be proud of, but you will be pleased to hear that the toughest trophy can be made easier if you can find a willing Good Samaritan who already has Master difficulty unlocked.
Phase complete.
Infamous Second Son is another PS4 exclusive that, despite looking incredible too, is all about the fun. The old mantra of quality over quantity is certainly at play here, but what it lacks in content it makes up for with its fast, silky smooth and well executed gameplay. And without all the tacked on extras other games use to pad out the lifespan of their trophy sets, it's almost the perfect AAA release for trophy hunters. You see, it's a ton of fun while also being easy, although not boringly so, and nice and quick. In fact, basically anyone will be able to find the time to finish off the Platinum no matter how jam-packed your schedule is. And with the relatively low time requirement of around 15 hours being spread across 2 playthroughs, it doesn't matter if you're unable to finish it all within a few days or weeks. You can split the Platinum in 2 and not feel lost when returning after a long break, as you'll need to start over for the second playthrough anyway. So if you're a busy gamer that's after a cheap, easy but very enjoyable AAA Platinum that respects your time by not demanding too much of it, then Infamous Second Son is the game for you. In fact, whatever your circumstances, this should and probably does occupy a place in the majority of trophy hunters' collections. I wanted to include one dark horse on this list, a game you may not have been expecting to be referred to as a must-have Platinum. Transistor is the personification of the term hidden gem. Giving it away for free via PlayStation Plus back in February 2015 helped get this classic into more people's hands, but the problem is it's the kind of game that can't be done justice by watching trailers or even gameplay. The genius lies in the weapon system. There are endless possibilities based on how you piece together the components made available to you. That doesn't come across when watching someone else play, so please don't judge it based on the limited footage on screen. A friend of mine didn't like the look of it when it was free on PS Plus, which was a common reaction, and he decided not to bother even adding it to his library. He later bought it off the back of my recommendation and was so glad he did. When it comes to being a must-have platinum, despite being less well known than many of the other games on this list, it ticks every box. 1, it's easy enough for anyone to get through without any real issues, but is still an interesting game to play and one that does keep you on your toes. 2, at around 10 hours or so, it's a fairly quick platinum while still being long enough for you to get your teeth stuck in. 3, it's an awesome and very clever, unique game as we mentioned, and is exclusive to PlayStation. And finally, it was free for all PS Plus members 2 years ago. Could it be any more ideal for trophy hunters?
They're gone, but so's this whole block.
Despite my desire to include other remasters on this list, such as Borderlands 2 and Bioshock Infinite, I decided to limit myself to just the one, and there was no debating which remaster would cement a place in the final 10. By now we all know how incredible this game and its story are, and even many of the new PlayStation gamers have quickly fallen in love with Sony's pride and joy studio, Naughty Dog. The great thing about the trophy list for The Last of Us is that it's challenging but not unrealistic, and it requires you to play through on the higher difficulty settings which truly improve the overall experience. On easy or normal, this is a third-person shooter. On the survivor or grounded setting though, thanks to much more limited supplies, it's a methodical survival game that forces you to put thought into every move you make and every item you use, adding a layer of tension that'll leave you buzzing. There are exploits you can use if needed, which will help you through the tougher difficulties, although I suggest at least attempting it legit to really get the most from this masterpiece. Including the multiplayer, the time requirement climbs up around 50 hours or so, but even the online portion of the game is superb. Many gamers hate online trophies, but often state this as their one exception due to the excellent way in which Naughty Dog carry over the campaign's playstyle and atmosphere into the multiplayer modes. With The Last of Us 2 on its way and likely to take the world by storm all over again, now is the time to ensure you're up to date with this world-beating classic.
Oh my god, there's so many of them.
Despite winning multiple Game of the Year awards, I still believe Shadow of Mordor is underappreciated. With its excellent combat, great atmosphere and groundbreaking nemesis system, I truly believe this is among the best and most innovative games so far this generation. It's one of those titles that everyone knows reviewed well, but many overlook due to its bearing more than a passing resemblance to a Batman meets Assassin's Creed love child. But there is so much more going on under the surface, and even on face value it's just a huge amount of fun. It's a great example of a game that makes you feel truly powerful as you level up. When you start off it may seem a little tricky at times, but as you get stronger you really sense the difference and feel like a force to be reckoned with, taking down hordes of orcs using your own reaction speed along with the plethora of fun skills and abilities made available to you. The trophies are easy enough for the majority to make their way through without any lingering difficulties, and that's helped along by the fact that it makes everything nice and simple for you to keep track of. The DLC has a couple of challenging trophies, but they represent the most fun I've had working on something that's considered at least relatively difficult. All in all, it's a great package and awesome experience, and if you enjoyed enough you can even double up on all the trophies by stacking the Game of the Year edition, which has its own separate list. Just as Resogun represents Sony's willingness to not only get behind but heavily promote talented smaller studios, Rocket League is a great example of their prioritising multiplayer and social or competitive gaming more than ever before. In fact, Rocket League pretty much already existed on PS3 in the form of its predecessor, supersonic acrobatic rocket-powered battle cars, which did okay but pales into insignificance when compared to Rocket League. Costing just $2 million to make, but earning over $100 million from its 30 million reported players, this game just goes to show that even an initially free download when released at the right time with decent marketing can take the world by storm and hoover up the cash. The great thing about it is that it's easy to pick up but difficult to master, and thanks to its fair matchmaking can be enjoyed by all skill levels. No matter what each match holds in store for you, it's one of the few competitive experiences that will put a smile on your face rather than leave you frustrated or angry. On top of all that, basically every trophy across the Platinum and the extensive DLC is either super easy or can be made easy through the addition of item trading. It's the kind of game that's a lot of fun just playing and popping trophies naturally, but also lets you boost practically all of them solo or in local split screen, meaning if you get to the point where you simply want to finish it off, it will take no time at all to do so. So however you approach games, this one is perfect for all types of trophy hunters, and a must play in its own right. With Fallout being my favourite franchise ever, I've taken this opportunity to include Fallout 4 in a top 10 for the first time, so this is like my personal addition to the list. Action RPGs aren't necessarily for everyone, but that's true of all genres. I do feel like it deserves a place here though, because, you see, although the mild simplifications in some areas on the RPG side of things weren't as popular with many existing fans, they have made it more appealing to the mainstream this time around, with its more familiar style shooting mechanics and streamlined levelling system. There may be more impressive RPGs on the PS4 from a technical standpoint, and I even agree with those that see Fallout 3 and New Vegas as better games, but I simply love exploring the Fallout universe more than any other. The music, the characters, the stories, the new addition of weapon crafting, and even the settlement building can be a lot of fun if you're in the mood. Although you can get lost in this world for hundreds of hours if you have the time available, and if you do, I totally recommend it, you can still get through this in a surprisingly reasonable time if you focus on trophies alone and follow a guide designed to lead you straight to the platinum. It's possible in around 30 hours, but I'd assume 50 if I was you, and I'd challenge you to not get distracted along the way and end up spending much more time seeing everything Boston has to offer. Either way, everything including the DLC can be nice and easy thanks to being able to change the difficulty whenever you like without affecting any trophies. You'll just need to take some time to understand all the systems and mechanics involved. Sometimes a game comes along that is beloved by all and almost impossible to hate. Despite being a remake of the now 15-year-old original release in the series, Ratchet & Clank ended up being one of the most popular titles on PS4 in 2016. This is how remakes should be done. It's recognisable enough to bring back nostalgic memories, but simultaneously feels like a new game thanks to its amazing new graphics, new areas, new weapons, and to be frank, more joy than should legally be allowed to reside on one disc. Sadly, when it comes to decent games, the 3D platforming genre seems to be dying on non-Nintendo current-gen consoles. Let's hope Yooka-Laylee can deliver when it launches soon, but what I really hope is that Ratchet's foray onto the PS4 paved the way for a full revival of the series with many more sequels to come. Besides maybe one hoverboard race which some may briefly struggle with, the trophies are easy, fairly quick at around 15 hours, and very enjoyable to earn because they force you to make regular use of all the game's weapons, which are the main reason it's just so damn enjoyable. Whether you're a lifelong Ratchet fan or have never even heard of the series, I can almost guarantee it will put a smile on your gamer face as well as your trophy hunter one.
That doesn't sound so bad.
Correction. The Fluffy Bunny Room has been relocated to Sector 12, initiating death and dismemberment protocol.
Of course.
With Naughty Dog having been Sony's flagship developer for a while now, it's no big surprise to see two of their games appear on this list. Despite my not necessarily viewing Uncharted 4 quite as highly as most others seem to, it was always going to be the first game to cement a place in the final top 10. Nathan Drake has rapidly become the most recognisable and beloved modern-day character on PlayStation, and it was a joy to see the supposed final chapter of his adventures play out via the kind of excellent storytelling we've come to expect from the writers at this world-beating studio. I can't wait to see what they have up their sleeve next with The Last of Us 2 that we mentioned earlier, and their mysterious new sci-fi IP that's in the works. But for now, it almost goes without saying that the latest iteration in Sony's most important franchise over these last few years is a must-play. And for trophy hunters, it's a must platinum too. It's the easiest out of the entire series and is an enjoyable list with nothing unreasonable or tedious. It shouldn't take too long either. In fact, if you buy the game on disc rather than retail, then you can, if you wish, speed it up to around 20 hours by avoiding the patch and using some exploits that were available before an update removed them. That'll allow you to basically skip the speedrun and accuracy-based full playthrough trophies, and the game itself purposefully allows you to activate cheats this time around to assist you with your crushing playthrough. Just be aware of the DLC, which does have a higher difficulty level than anything in the main game. It's nice to be able to include a recent release in this particular list. After many high-profile games this generation that haven't lived up to the hype, this one certainly has, and it's a PlayStation exclusive to boot. Horizon Zero Dawn has come at the perfect time for Sony too, and could well be the knockout punch when it comes to their rivalry with Xbox. If you find the so-called console war interesting, the last few months have been fascinating, and PlayStation's momentum continues to build, with the last few exclusives especially taking the world by storm, while Microsoft have been rather quiet and seem to be cancelling or delaying a lot of theirs. This is the one game in this list that I have yet to platinum myself due to time restrictions, but it's widely considered nice and easy, and its time requirement is healthy but reasonable at an average of around 40 hours or so. I can see it taking me and anyone else with a 4K TV and PS4 Pro a lot longer though. No, it's not glitchy, it just looks so incredible that I can't help stopping almost every few seconds just to stare at the horizon and maybe play around with the brilliant photo mode. The lighting is some of the best I've seen, and that especially will look just as good on an HD TV, so whatever you're playing on, pick up a copy of Horizon and you're in for a treat. An enjoyable action RPG with a decent amount of content, easily manageable trophies, and some of the best graphics you'll have ever seen on console. Where can you go wrong? So there we go guys, 10 games that I think every PS4 trophy hunter would benefit from at least attempting. Now not everyone's going to agree with this list of course, so please remember to leave a comment below letting us know which games you would have included. In the meantime I want to say a big thank you for watching, thank you for all the support on the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all very soon for my next video.